Hello people, thank you very much for watching this video. The TOEFL Writing Task 2 is changing in the revised TOEFL test being introduced on the 26th of July 2023. In this video you will get a complete overview about the new task and how to prepare for it. You will have knowledge on possible subject matters. The presentation of the task will be made clear. Importantly, you will know how to manage your time, and you will also know how to structure your response to the task. With that said, let's move on. I'd like to tell you that I have taught TOEFL to test takers now for several years, and I share the opinion of many other teachers that I know that consider this test was made much more difficult than necessary because of the format. It was a combination of a language ability test and a mental endurance test. And now, thankfully, the test has been modified and it can be completed in just under 2 hours. The one big change is in the writing section, where task 2 has changed to a task called Writing for an Academic Discussion. This task invites the test takers to participate in a discussion on a question raised by a professor and already responded to by 2 students. It is important to note here that you are required to give your opinion to further the discussion of the question. So your answer reflects your own individual opinion on the question raised. This may agree or disagree with the other 2 students' response, but it doesn't even have to consider their response to be truthful. Is this difficult? Well, it can be, because you only get 10 minutes to review the question and formulate your opinion. And also within that 10 minutes, you're required to write your response with a minimum of 100 words. But realistically, you need to set a target of up to 150 words, and I would recommend setting your personal minimum to 120 words. So let's take a bit closer look at what this is all about now. Okay, so at the start of the test, you'll be sitting in front of the computer, and then the timer will start and you will see the writing task displayed. The time is going to run for 10 minutes, and that's how long you have to complete the task. On the screen, you will see, firstly, you will see the instructions to complete the task. You will see an overview of the subject matter. You will see the question that you have to consider. And then you'll see the opinion from student 1 and the opinion from student 2. And on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, you will see the panel for your response. So here we are. This is what you will actually see when the task begins and the timer starts to tick. Let's just quickly go through what is here on the page. Firstly, let's look on the bottom right here, and you will see this is where your response will go as you type, and you'll be able to see and review what you've written. This area outlines the instructions for the task. Remember, it's to express and support your opinion and make a contribution to the discussion in your own words. They say at least 100 words, but as I told you before, I recommend at least 120 words or more if you can manage it. So this area is probably the most important area here. This outlines the subject matter of the question, and it gives you the question also for your consideration to express your opinion and support your opinion. Now, this area, this gives you information from the responses given by 2 other students. These are given as an aid for you to expand your response if you need assistance. It really is up to you how you use this information, and we will discuss this a little later. Now let's take another look at these sections a little bit more closely and identify what is really important for you to think about. Back to the task instructions. As I'm sure you have already realized that time management is extremely important here. Yes, I know it's important in all aspects of the TOEFL. I guess what I'm trying to say is just that because this task is shorter, it does not make it any easier. Let me point out some things here you need to consider. The first point to note is right at the start of the instruction, you are given the subject that the question pertains to. In this particular instance, it's sociology. We will go through some other subjects that you can expect later in the video. Also note, it states that you are expected to write a post, not an essay. So there is no need to stick with the essay layout, intro, body, conclusion, etc. They are looking for you to add to the discussion, and that's an important word, adding to the discussion with your opinion and why you have that opinion with examples as necessary. Being that you should be practicing this task before the test itself, then there is no need to waste too much time reading this part of the task when you're doing it, except to establish the subject matter. So this section gives the information wanted to understand the topic. It then presents a question being asked for to get your opinion. Let me read through this with you so we understand what I'm talking about. Let's think about population trends in urban and rural areas, villages. Living in urban areas can be expensive. Nonetheless, when they have a choice of where to live, people in some countries do not wish to live in rural areas, even if the cost of living there is lower. If governments of some countries want to attract more people to live in rural areas or villages, what is the best strategy or approach that governments can use? Why? So it gives an outline of the topic, but then where does the question actually start? The question starts with, if governments of some countries want to attract more people to live in rural areas or villages, what is the best strategy or approach that governments can use? And explain why. Now you have the important information that's required for you to consider your opinion and how you intend to justify it. Personally, I would suggest in a question like this, you immediately look at both sides, advantages and disadvantages. For example, rural living is quieter maybe, better air quality, closer to nature, smaller communities, less expensive, but against it, there's lack of facilities maybe. Not so much shopping areas and malls. Is there enough schools? Is there enough medical facilities? What about entertainment, cinemas and other entertainment aspects? And now do the same for city dwellers. What's going good for them and what's not so good for them? So, and then decide which is better in your opinion. Once you've started to formulate your opinion, you might also quickly scan the other two students' opinions just to give you additional ideas and maybe pointers that you haven't thought of. But don't spend too much time going through them. Just scan them quickly and you can come back to them as you're writing if necessary. See how it goes. Here we have the opinions of Claire and Kelly. We will take a look at what they both have to say. Claire, I would like to live in a rural area if the government gave more financial help to farmers. Although it may cost very little to live in a rural area, it costs a lot to begin a career in agriculture. If I had financial help, I would start my own farm and be happy to live in a rural area. In my country, this is Kelly speaking, in my country, urban centres are great places to live because you can access shops, restaurants, and museums. If the government of my country wanted to attract me to live in a rural area, the area would first have to attract more businesses, be focused on entertainment and culture than most rural areas have now. So, yeah, this is really what we said in the short review we gave when we read the question. In writing your post, you may be looking at ways of adding information to boost the word total. So you may want to discuss these two opinions actually. Claire is talking about becoming a farmer and a career in agriculture. But most populated rural areas consist of more than farmers. She seems to take a very limited view on the infrastructure of the community, whereas Kelly, on the other hand, states clearly that she is guided by the infrastructure. She is looking for amenities to provide entertainment and retail facilities. So, if required, discussing the other's opinions could definitely help boost your word total. But there's a need to be very, very careful that you are adding your perspective to the conversation and not reviewing the other two students' thoughts. Be careful on that. Here are some other question examples that you may want to practice with. I will read them through quickly, but you can either copy your screen or pause the video to note them down. Psychology. What are some strategies that people can use to manage stress in their daily lives? Political science. What are some ways that individuals and governments can work to reduce air pollution? And history. What about the impact of ancient civilizations on science and technology? How did these civilizations contribute to our modern understanding of science and technology? So, there's just a few. But it's worthy of note that on the ETS website, they are adding to sample questions all the time. So you can check up there if you wish. Obviously, time management is critical, and it's something that you've really got to work at to make sure you can achieve it. I recommend that you spend the maximum of 2 minutes planning. You can do a little bit of review while you're actually typing, but maximum of 2 minutes planning your response. 6 minutes typing, that's typing if you're going to get to the full 150 words where it would be nice to be, that's 25 words a minute, which is achievable, relatively easy typing. And then the last 2 minutes reviewing, looking for typos, and just checking what you've written. That's the ideal scenario. Obviously, it's going to fluctuate a little depending what you come across, but I'm sure this is achievable. So the question is how to start answering this particular aspect. And as I said before, you do not have to rely on the essay type layout. Start by going straight to giving your opinion, because that's important. That's where you're adding to the discussion. You can start with, in my opinion, let's just take these examples. In my opinion, technology has greatly influenced our daily lives. Use alternatives. If you're going to be answering several questions in the TOEFL, use alternatives. It seems to me that advancements in technology have greatly influenced our daily lives. As an example, you can use I believe, or I consider, or I think that. All very suitable for starting this type of answer. Remember, whatever you're giving as your opinion, it is essential to provide the supporting evidence or examples to back up your statements in order to strengthen your arguments. And that is what's going to be looked for when you're answering. I wanted to provide a sample answer for this particular question in this video. My answer contains 174 words, and it was produced in under 10 minutes. But having working producing this video, then obviously I was aware of the question, so it's not really easy. It's not really right to refer to it as the sort of response that you could do under pressure. But it does give you an idea of the sort of content you might think about when you're answering a question like this. I'm hoping that after watching this video, you now have a clear understanding of this new task in the writing section of TOEFL. To summarize on the task, I do not believe it is going to be a problem for TOEFL test takers, just a little something different. You must remember it's not an essay, it is a post to a conversation. Your task is to give your input with your opinion idea to the subject matter. It is a clear opportunity to actually display your own vocabulary and use different grammatical structures. Over the next few days, I will be providing some more short exercise videos on this particular task and bringing in some of the new questions that might give you some good practice on preparing for this. So please subscribe to this channel and ring the notification bell to be informed as these videos are released. Thank you all very, very much, you lovely TOEFL people, for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.